It's totally normal to be lost when you start chess and you have to decide which opening to play. I remember when I was a kid, I was trying to please my father, so I was like, I'm gonna play chess. I'm sure this will make him happy. I open a book and I see the first sentence. There are 1,326 openings in chess. The first thing I wanted to do is close this. Chess is not for me. I want to go and play football or something. But today, I'm going to show you that you don't have to learn so many openings. Actually, as an amateur, you have to reduce the amount of openings. And if you can play just one against like a sort of what we call a system that works against pretty much anything, then you should do this. Think about it. If you keep playing the same opening, you're going to play it better and better with time. And today, I'm going to teach you how to play an opening called the King's Indian. It's when your opponent plays this move d4 and you respond with the move knight f6. Most people will play this move, c4, taking the center, and you're going to do this. The idea is to actually put the bishop here, then you're going to push this pawn, and then you're going to castle. And this will be called, this is called the King's Indian. It has been played for centuries by all grandmasters, and this is a great opening. And I think you should play it. And the reason is that usually with black, we're in defense, and we're taking the crap of our opponent who's launching pawns at us. And how many times do we have to lose when this guy is just going like this, h4, g4, h5 against us? But in this opening, this cannot happen. In this opening is totally different, because with black, you're the one who's actually attacking here. You will attack. So this opening is fun to play. It teaches you how to attack in chess. And most likely your opponents at 1,800, 500 level, even higher, even up to 2,000, don't know how to react to it. Some will, but most won't. The main move that they play is to play knight c3. You're going to put the bishop on g7. And they're going to take the center. And it can seem pretty scary to actually give them the center, it's true. They have an amazing center, but, let them do whatever they want, because we're coming for them. It doesn't really matter that much here. You're just going to put the pawn on d6. Already, some players will make a mistake here, and they will go, you know what, I can push this pawn, because why not? I'm bothering this knight. He has to go somewhere, but he doesn't have to go anywhere. It's actually a blunder already that, people at 500, 600, 700, 800 will do against you. Because all you have to do here is take. When they take back the pawn, you see this? I want you to exchange queens. He's forced to take with the king. And now you put the knight here. And you see you're attacking this pawn and this one. And by the way, if you go here, it would be a fork between the king and the rook. And I'm sure that some of you will win the game already like this. Your opponent is going to see just that this pawn is attacked. He's going to push to protect it. And he's going to get this and lose the game like this. Because, the rook is gone. I'm first going to show you what happens if your opponent is really an attacking player and he decides to go with this kind of formation that looks super scary at first. The first time I played against this variation that is called the 4 pawns King's Indian, I was super scared because I'm like, you know what, I don't have space. Where do I put my pieces here? But it turns out that you have great ways to respond here. So the first thing you do, you put the king safe. Always think about this. Put the king safe. He's going to move the knight here. And now we're going to counter in the center. We're going to attack him. We're not going to let him, have these 4 pawns just stay there. I have a great move. Is this one. This is the best move in this variation. What you're trying to do, you're trying to break his center. So if you can take, that would be good. But you're telling me, okay, maybe you saw that, okay, but what if they take the pawn? Do you think that here, if you pause for a second, do you think that taking back is actually the best move here? Because, well, if I'm asking you the question, you know that the answer is a no already. But yeah, it's not. It's not. Here, the best move is to sacrifice this pawn and you go with the queen out like this. You're creating a pin on this knight. So your idea when you do something like this is that you want to put pressure, and the next move, you want to take the pawn on e4. And he will not be able to take back because there is a pin. So already if your friend just play automatically, and you know, most people on chess.com, they just play super fast, they pre-move, and they just avoid thinking for some reason. They're playing a game where you should think. That's really a thinking game. It's not football. I mean, I'm going to get destroyed over this. Football, you have to think a lot. Yes, I get it. But in chess, I think a little bit more. A little bit more. So, bishop e2. If they do this, you win the game like this. You take on e4 because they cannot take back. And you're putting an amazing pressure now on this knight with these 3 pieces. And already you have a great position here. Let me show you. If they cover with bishop d2, all you have to do, you exchange pieces here. You're going to take with your bishop now. He's going to take back. And now you see this. You take with the pawn. This is a check attacking this. So of course, if he puts the queen here, now you can just take the rook. And if he's not, let's say he plays a move like this to cover, to keep the right to castle, all you have to do is take the pawn back. And this position is perfectly fine. So there's 2 traps already. What if you play against people who are super greedy? Many of them are super greedy. They see that they can win something, they just take it. They feel like it's $1 million. I don't know why. So here he's going to be like, ooh, I can take a second pawn, actually. So they can take it. What do you think we do here? We're not taking back again. So we just gave him a pawn. Now we give him a second pawn. But all we do, and this is the reason why we play this opening, we're activating our pieces instead. Let him take material. I activate my army, and I'm going to do very well. Here you have to play this. And we know that he cannot take back, but now you're scared about this move. Because yes, the pawn is attacking the rook. All you have to do is move it. Here. Now he has an issue. The bishop is attacking the knight and the queen. How is he going to defend? That's a good question. So most of the time they're going to play the queen here to try and defend a little bit. All you have to do is just take. When they take back, in this position you take with the queen. And yeah, they take, you take, and at the end of the variation, you're winning the rook. This one is not an issue, and you win like this. If you play people who are a little bit stronger, they're not going to take here. They're actually going to decide to play the best move, which is pushing in the center, and they close like this. And you have to be careful. They're coming for you in the center. So here, what we're going to do, we're not going to let him, attack us like this. We're just going to play e6. We're going to challenge the center here. What if they play e5? What happens after this move? Attacking the knight is true. But it turns out that all you have to do here is take. They're pushing their center without developing their pieces, and they're going to get punished for it. Because after taking back here, now you put the knight here. And what it does is that it creates a double attack on this pawn. It's really hard to actually defend it. If, for instance, they put the bishop on f4 here, all you have to do is add another pressure on this pawn that you're attacking now 3 times. And you're going to tell me, okay, they can keep defending it. Why not? Yes, they can. But now I can take here. Because when I'm taking here, I'm opening also the rook's column to keep on attacking. Because if they take like this, there is a nice sacrifice that you can do here. Is just take already on e5. I know it's defended 3 times. So how come you can take? You can take because if they take, and take, at the end of the variation, there is this little cute move, and they lose the queen. That's why. So this is what happens with white when you're pushing your pawns and you're not thinking about developing your pieces. This is the thing. We're playing for counterattack. We have counterattacking chances here. So e6. The main move here to defend, if you're playing someone good, the main move is to play the bishop on e2. Okay? It's not to move the center. We saw that whenever they keep pushing the center without developing pieces, they get crushed. So the best move is to play bishop e2. And here, you just take in the center. You start actually breaking this block of pawns. Yeah? When they take back, they can take like this or they can take like this. It's 2 different variations. And I saw that online. Most people actually are taking this way with the c pawn. Here what you can do, very simply, you bring the rook. And you see how the center that was actually very strong, we're playing against it. We're trying to crush their center that they think is strong, and it happens to you a lot. Sometimes you just take the center. I love people who love to take the center because it gives me simple ideas. I just know I have to break the center with my pawns, pushing the pawns. So I have a plan suddenly. And here is the same. Look, I have a plan. I'm attacking a pawn on e4. What do they do here? The only way to actually defend it is to just push. But I'm just going to take, you're going to take, and I'm going to go knight g4 again. Same idea. Whenever I go like this, I'm attacking it 3 times. There is no way to defend this pawn anymore. So they have to push. They have to push and you just take. When they take back, you just take the pawn, but you exchange queens first, like this, and you take, and you're doing great. You're doing okay actually in this position. Now it's enough on the 4 pawns. The main variation that people will play against you, so if you play this, c4, so you remember the moves, g6, they're going to play knight c3, you're going to put the bishop here, and they're going to take their amazing center that we're not scared of anymore. No way. d6, so when they push, you're ready to take and play this famous move. And now they play knight f3, and this is what most people will do against you. I wanted to show you the sharp line first, but now there is this line. Here, always castle. Put your king safe. Don't even think about it. It's normal. If you leave the king in the center, the lines are open, and it's very easy for your opponent to come and just crush you in the center and attack your king. You don't want this, right? Now, bishop e2 is the main move here. They develop because they just want a castle. And now you're going to play a strange move, if you haven't seen it before, is that you're going to push in the center like this. Because you're thinking that, okay, but what is this? This move is strange at first, because he's being attacked twice. How are we not losing a pawn? Because if they take, you take back. Let's say they exchange queens. It doesn't matter if they do or they don't. And now they take this juicy pawn. This is what they think. They think they win this. But you see this bishop here? If the knight wasn't here, the bishop would take the knight. So all I have to do is a discovery attack. I take this pawn. I know I'm giving you the piece, but I'm getting this back. So you take this, I take this, and now you look at the material. We're totally in an equal position, even a little bit better for black actually. You know, you're going to put the pawn here, the bishop is going to come here, the knight is going to come this way, and you're going to have a very nice a very nice position. Don't forget that this one for the time being is still in the center. So it's good for black. Let's play d6, knight f3, castle, bishop e2, and e5. Okay? Most people here will not take on e5. But I had to show you so you don't get crushed against it. Okay? Most people here, they're either gonna push their pawn or they're gonna take. The modern way of playing is to actually just castle and you let people take in the center. But before, when I was playing, back in the days, people were pushing, and this is called the Petrosian variation. Yeah, Petrosian variation. It's called the Petrosian variation, okay? And playing like this. Now, the idea is pretty simple. White wants to play on the queen side, like this, pushing their pawns. Black, on the other hand, wants to play on the king side, pushing their pawns like this. I know you have a king here, it's super scary. You're thinking, I mean, the first thing that someone taught me in chess is do not move the pawns in front of the king because it weakens the king. Here is totally different. And let me give you actually a little piece of advice. How do you know on which side of the board you should focus your attention? Usually, there is sort of a rule. Look at the most advanced pawn in your position, and usually you should play on that side. Here for black, the most advanced pawn is here, so you should play on the king side. Okay? That's the reason why you're gonna go with moves like this. This is the most advanced pawn for white. This pawn is on the queen side. That's the reason why the plan for white is to go like this. It works most of the time, to be honest, but not all the time. You know, you have rules, you have exceptions, right? Like everything. So here we know that he wants to expand on the queen side. And he wants to go like this and crush us like this on the queen side. But we're not going to let this happen. So the first thing you have to do here is a5. Now you're controlling the square on b4. Okay? You're controlling it. So he cannot push. Okay? So now the main move in this variation is a move that is bishop g5. Let's attack the bishop. And he goes here. And now knight a6. I know it's weird again, but someone told me, or I heard somewhere, that the knight should not go on the corner, should not go on the side. It's not a good thing. Yeah, but this one is actually very powerful because now you're controlling twice. You see, in the King's Indian, it's extremely important to stop the plan of your opponent. If you know his plan is to expand on the queen side, just stop it first. And also this knight is not dead. This knight will come here and he will attack a very important pawn in the center, okay? The first time that I learned this, it was, yeah, like I told you, like 30, 35 years ago already. It's pretty crazy. And I went to my trainer at the time, who was a grandmaster, a famous grandmaster called Éloi Relange. He's the president of the French Chess Federation today. And I went and I was like, Éloi, what can I play against d4? Because I'm getting crushed with black. And I want a weapon. And he used to have amazing results against Victor Korchnoi even, with black playing the King's Indian. So I was like, can you teach me the King's Indian? I would stay at night whenever, you know, the national one team would go home. And he would teach me after hours, basically. And show me like all the moves. And that's what I'm showing you and sharing with you today. So this knight, it doesn't really matter. This knight goes here. And then he goes here. Here, diagonal castle. And now what you have to do in this position, you can either play h5. You're ready. So you see, you're ready to attack on the king side. Huh? You're ready to go for it. Now put your queen on e8. Because you cannot actually push this pawn because the knight was here. And with the queen that was there, I couldn't remove the knight to push this pawn because of the pin. So the move here is just queen e8. And then I'm going to remove the knight and then I'm going to push. Now white has an idea with this move. They want to be pushing on the next move. Because if you take, they take back, you will not be able to take with the knight. Because the rook will take the rook. So what do we do? It's true that this rook is not defended. What do? We just move the bishop like this. And now he cannot push. Because I can take. And when he takes, the queen can come and take the rook. Okay? So you play bishop d7. And now he's forced to play moves like this to try and push. Okay? Now go knight h7. Because, yes, he's going to go like this. It's going to be a sort of a race that you guys are going to do. I mean, yeah, except you're not Usain Bolt, but you see what I mean? Like, we need to go fast. Because he's coming for us with his pawns. You can't wait. You have to go for him. For his king. But there is one thing that I love about the King's Indian. Is that me, with black, I'm attacking your king. You're attacking me on the queen side. I'm not losing the game. But the fact that I'm attacking the king, I may mate you before you do something. For this, you have to watch the games of Garry Kasparov. Honestly. The first person actually Mikhail Botvinnik, who started the Russian chess school during Soviet Union, said, we didn't understand the King's Indian opening before a player that appeared called Geller. And it's true, Geller was an amazing player of King's Indian, but then he was Garry Kasparov. Garry Kasparov, I think you should go and watch his games if you want to play this opening with black. He was crushing everybody with this opening. So here, usually they go knight d2. The reason of this move is that when this bishop is going to get attacked by our pawns, they want to be able to go and hide with the bishop. So you go f5, they have to be careful here. If, for instance, you play someone and he's careless and he's thinking, you know what, I'm going to crush the guy. Yeah, but he loses a piece on the spot. Bye-bye. This bishop is gone. So they have to be careful. And you're going to win some games like this. I know. So first they have to create a little window so they can go back. So now you go like this, you attack, they hide, and you close like this. And your point is super easy to actually remember the King's Indian plan for black because it's always the same thing. You're just basically pushing your pawns on the king side and attacking the king, and it's super fun. The fact that the center is closed like this, it doesn't really matter the fact that your king doesn't have his pawns, as long as the center is closed like this and white cannot come with these pieces to bother us. We're on move 15 and I don't think that you need to know more, but basically how you're going to play is h5, g4 that you're going to prepare the knight. The knight is going to come here, the queen is going to come here, the king is going to come here, and the rook here. And you're going to try to pile everything on the g file to try and mate this king. What he's going to do, he's going to go like this, putting a knight, coming with the queen, pushing the pawns or taking and trying to create. He's going to try to basically penetrate the position on the queen side by coming with the rook like that, putting pressures. This is what you're going to see, okay? Now, let's see another variation that is very annoying, by the way, to play against. So on knight f3, castle, e5, and there is one move that I didn't show. I showed you the Petrosian. I showed you when they take. There is also the modern approach, which is castling the king and letting you actually take in the center, and this is exactly what you're going to do. You take in the center here. When he takes, there is a nice trap here as well. Now you play rook e8. You attack the center straight away. The best way to actually defend it is to play f3. Now you're telling me he has an amazing center. Yes, but you have an amazing bishop. You see how this bishop is so open and putting pressure on these? So we're going to exploit this. Put the knight here. Start putting pressure on this. Usually they defend the knight by putting the bishop. Now play knight h5. Knight h5 has a sort of, the idea behind it is that you're trying to trap your opponent, okay? Usually they go queen d2. This is the main move here. Now I want you to exchange the ponies. Exchange your ponies. When they take, do you think that we're going to take here and exchange all pieces and play a boring position? Nah, not at all. Put the knight on f4. This move. Because if the queen takes, now you take the bishop, check. And you have the bishop pair, you have an amazing bishop and you're doing better. So usually what they do is they're like, but I don't get it. I can just take the bishop and when he takes, I can take the knight. And this is what you're thinking maybe. I don't know, I'm not sure. Yes, so they all play this, and especially on Blitz, honestly online, they just play this so fast because they're thinking that you're going to take back, but you're not. Here what you're going to do is play queen g5. You play this move. You're threatening checkmate in one move. And usually if they go like this, there was also a second idea is that the queen, you could have a discovery attack by just giving a check. The king is forced to move, and now you can win the queen. And usually you have no idea how many people, when I play this move, queen g5, how many people already resign. They're thinking, okay, but whatever I do, he's either going to do knight h3 and then take my queen, or he's going to checkmate, and I cannot stop both. And they resign. Some of them actually decide, to sacrifice the queen for the knight and keep playing. It happens as well because they're just frustrated and, they just want to hurt you, And some of them resign because they understood that time, is your biggest commodity, and I don't think that you should keep playing losing positions. I know on the internet they tell you the opposite, but I value my time, so I don't. And I also value, my opponents, and I think they can win. Sometimes they're going to blunder, but is it worth it? No, it's not going to happen very often. So, here, there is a way to defend for white. This is the thing. This is a trap, but this is a trap because most people don't know the defense. But there is a defense here. White is actually not losing. The move is a crazy move, a king move. Because now, if you give a check like this, attacking the queen, now the king comes here, and the king defends his queen. Super romantic, if you think about it. Yeah. And taking here is a big mistake, because if you take here, now the king is hiding, but this is attacked. And you didn't take the bishop. So now you're definitely losing. Because if you go queen h2, for instance, defending actually the knight, now the bishop escapes. You're a piece down with black. And this one is not getting mated. But that's not the way to play. When he plays king f2, don't take on g2. That's all you have to remember. Okay? Just take on g7. It doesn't really matter if they play moves like this. Most people, especially at amateur level, you know, they see a knight there, they just attack it. And this one is going to lose, because now you have a check here. You just slide the queen. The king doesn't have any square apart from this one. This is taken, and this is taken, obviously. When the king comes here, now you go check. It's a dance. The king is forced to come here, and you go check, and you win like this. So it's a lot of ways to actually just mess it up in this position, don't you think? If they know how to play here, you just take on g7, and the best move for them is to just give a check on d4, and usually you have to play like this and play an endgame. But, you know, rook a d1, and this position is pretty equal. But people need to know exactly what they're doing, otherwise there is no way they arrive in this kind of position, okay? But even this position for black, I'm not telling you to play a trap like I see on the internet, but if the trap doesn't happen, you have a shit position, which is what all opening traps actually are creating. No, you have a decent chess position, even though the trap didn't happen. Okay, f3 is an interesting variation. It's called the Samisch variation. What if this guy plays this that looks so stupid at first because he's taking the natural square of the knight, but it turns out that this pawn is just a support for later on to be able to push g4, h4, h5. So he wants to come for you. In the Samisch variation, it's actually white who is attacking you on the king side. Here. If you see someone playing something like this, he's an attacking player. So you have to be careful about this kind of moves. Now, we always castle, okay? Usually they play bishop e3, that is pretty much the main move here, or they can put it on g5, but it doesn't really change much. So they just develop their bishop. And now you have, I would say, three options. You can put the knight here, you can put it here, or you can push the pawn. Let me show you what happens. I like this one because there is a trap. Usually what they do, so I told you that white wants to push on the king side. So if he wants to push on the king side, he's going to put his king on the other side. He's going to long castle. So to long castle, they're going to move the queen so they can long castle. Now you go with d5. And already here, you're going to win games because people love to play this. They play it against me at 2400 level sometimes. Just because they don't know this variation, or they don't know knight bd7, or I don't know, they just had a bad night or a fight with their wife or something like this. I don't know. Because they always try to exchange this bishop because they think, yeah, this bishop is kind of the guard of this king, so then after they can come for you. But when they play a move like this, there is already a winning move here. There is a winning move. It's knight sacrifice on e4. Like this, because whenever they take the knight, now you have this amazing check. Put the queen here, this is a check, and you get the piece back. Are attacked, so push, and you take back, and you gained a pawn. Now you're telling me, okay, it's not that simple, because he can take the queen, the bishop takes, and he has this move. Because it's true, how do you defend this? Because if you push this one, then you lose this pawn. But who cares about this pawn on c7? Just take in the center. If he takes here, you know what you're going to do. Obviously, do not hang the rook. Do not lose the rook, please. Always check if something is on priest, for instance. Just move it, okay? You have a nice pawn here, okay? You have an amazing diagonal. If he comes and attack the pawn, now what you can do is open the position with f5. If he takes on f5, you just take with the rook. Now if he takes the pawn, you go check. And you see that you have, first of all, why is black better? Because you have the bishop pair in a totally open position. This diagonal is sick. The king is in the center. He's already being attacked. The knight is going to come here. The bishop is going to come here. The other rook is going to come in. And just at the cost of a pawn, you're much better in this position. It's -2, close to -2 already. Much better with black, okay, because of the activity of your pieces. So taking is not the thing. When they go bishop e2, let's go back to this. You push e5, and this is perfectly fine for you to push. Okay? Some of you will play it differently. They're just going to take, you take back, and they didn't do this to actually take the pawn for you here. They exchange queens, you take back, and now they go with this sneaky move, bishop g5. This move creates a pin. It's true, it's kind of scary. It created a lot of problems for me when I was playing when I was young. I had a lot of problems against this variation. The good thing is that now I can teach you, and I spent 30 years playing this, so I made the mistakes for you, but now you're going to tell me you're not going to remember them, but that's the reason why I'm trying to teach you. I'm trying to teach you not to memorize, but to actually understand the meaning of each move, and that's the only way to actually remember something in chess. So, and you're still going to forget things, by the way, even if, and it's fine. Just accept it. We're not robots, so here he wants to play a move like this that would be very dangerous, attacking the knight. And we're pinned. So the first move we have to play, we don't want him to come with the knight here, so we're just going to push this. Now we're controlling these two squares, reducing the mobility. Whenever there is a knight here, actually you see Magnus playing this kind of moves a lot. If there is a knight here, he's going to put a pawn here to control the squares, the points of control of the knight. So first you're going to play this. Now, if they take on e5, because they're thinking that you don't have this move anymore, this little trick, because they're taking the rook, all you have to do is bring the rook here. And now there is a trick. Yes, you're attacking the knight, but you have to be super careful, because they can play this against you. They can long castle and put the rook here. And yes, it's a juicy pony, but it's a juicy pony. I don't know where this one came from, but you can't take it. If you take, you're blundering, because he goes check on the back rank like this with the rook. The only way is to come back with the rook here. But now you see what he does. The knight is actually defending. He's going to get rid of it. He's going to get the piece back this way. And he's also defending the rook like this. Because now you take, the bishop takes, and in this variation, white is better for a simple reason. Let's say you go bishop e6 here. The issue in this variation is that he's going to have the d file open for his rook, and you also have some sort of lack in development because some pieces are still at home. So it's a little bit better for white, and you don't want this. It's better for white. You don't want this. Here, when he long castles, all you have to do, just ignore it and develop your pieces. Play this, then your idea will be to play the bishop on e6. The knight is going to come here, putting pressure on e4. You're going to play like this. You don't have to rush, actually, to get the piece back, Because if, for instance, he goes back here, just play h6, or you could even play a move like knight c5. That's the point. Now you're putting pressure. Because yes, you're a pawn down, but you're going to get it back. There is no way that he can defend it. He can try to defend this pawn. Now he's defending it twice. That was a very bad arrow, actually. Yeah, he's defending it twice. But here, attack the bishop. If the bishop retreats, you can take. Boom. Right? Defended. That's the first video on the channel. I'm going to be posting a lot more chess opening videos like this one. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one.